Jiho stood at the observation window of Station Meridian and watched the alien ship approach. It was beautiful. The vessel moved through space like a silver fish swimming through dark water. Smooth curves reflected starlight, and it made no sound as it came closer. He had never seen anything like it before. "They're here," Yuna said behind him. Her voice was steady, but Jiho could hear the tension underneath. She was the station commander, responsible for everything that happened today. First contact with an alien race, real aliens, not from Earth, not human. Jiho turned to face her. Yuna wore her military uniform, pressed and perfect. Her hair was pulled back tight. She looked ready for anything. Beside her stood Ambassador Tai Yang, dressed in formal diplomatic clothes. The ambassador smiled too much. He was excited, nervous. Maybe both. "The Thessians are peaceful," Taeyang said for the third time that morning. "They've welcomed 47 different species into their collective. They've never started a war, never attacked anyone. This is a good thing for humanity." Yuna nodded but said nothing. Jiho knew she didn't trust easily. That's why she was good at her job. The alien ship docked with Station Meridian. The sound of metal connecting to metal echoed through the walls. Jiho felt his heart beat faster. He was the communications specialist. His job was to stay calm, to observe, to report. But this was different. This was history. They walked to the docking bay together. Security officers stood at attention along the walls. Medical teams waited nearby just in case. Scientists held their recording devices ready. Everyone watched the airlock door. The door opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The first Thessian stepped through and Jiho forgot to breathe. They were tall, taller than any human. Their skin was pale blue, smooth like water. They had 4 arms, 2 on each side, that moved with strange grace. Their faces were long and narrow, with large eyes that seemed to see everything at once. They wore flowing robes that changed color as they moved, shifting from silver to blue to purple. The lead Thessian approached. Their movements were smooth, almost like dancing. When they spoke, their mouth moved, but Jiho heard the words in his mind before the translator device caught up. "I am Velmore, diplomat of the Thessian Collective. We greet humanity with open minds and peaceful intentions." Ambassador Taeyang stepped forward and bowed. "I am Ambassador Taeyang of Earth. We welcome you to Station Meridian. This is Commander Yuna, and this is Jiho, our communications specialist." Velmore's large eyes studied each of them. The alien's gaze felt heavy, like being looked at and looked through at the same time. Jiho tried not to fidget. "We have traveled far to meet you," Velmore said. "Humanity is young but shows promise. You have reached the stars quickly. You have survived your own violence and grown beyond it. We believe you are ready to join the greater community of sentient beings." The words sounded good. Too good. Jiho glanced at Yuna. Her face showed nothing, but her hand rested near her sidearm. Old habits. More Thessians entered the station. They brought gifts, strange crystals that hummed with energy, data devices containing star charts and scientific knowledge. Books written in languages humanity had never seen. Taeyang accepted each gift with practiced diplomatic grace. "In our culture," Velmore explained, "understanding comes through connection. We are telepathic. We share thoughts, feelings, and memories through touch. This is how we know each other, how we trust each other, how we become one community instead of many separate voices." Jiho felt a chill run down his spine. Telepathy, reading minds. He wasn't sure how he felt about that. "We don't have telepathy," Taeyang said carefully. "Humans communicate through words, through language, through gestures and expressions." "We know," Velmore said. The alien's voice held something that might have been sympathy. "This is why we are here. To bridge this gap. to help humanity join the collective. When we touch minds with a species for the first time, we understand them completely. All barriers fall away. All misunderstandings disappear. We become one. Join the collective? Yuna spoke for the first time. Her voice was sharp. What does that mean exactly? Peace, Velmore said simply. Understanding, unity. No more wars. No more conflicts born from miscommunication. We have brought 47 species together this way. Each one found happiness in the harmony. Each one chose to join willingly after experiencing mental communion. Jiho watched the other Thessians. They moved in perfect coordination, like they shared one mind. Maybe they did. They never bumped into each other. They seemed to know where each other would be before they moved. It was beautiful and unsettling. We would like to perform the traditional greeting, Velmore said. A brief mental contact, nothing invasive, nothing permanent, simply a moment of connection so we may truly understand each other. Taeyang looked at Yuna. Yuna looked at Jiho. They had discussed this possibility before the Thessians arrived. They had known it might come to this. Earth's governments had debated for weeks. The decision was made. They would allow it, carefully, with precautions. I'll do it, Jiho said. His voice sounded calmer than he felt. I'm cleared for first contact protocols. Yuna studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Medical team on standby. Security maintains position. Ambassador, please continue observing and recording. Velmore approached Jiho slowly. The alien's 4 arms moved in a graceful pattern, like a ritual dance. Do not be afraid, Velmore said. This will not hurt. You will feel a moment of connection, a brief touch of my mind to yours. Then understanding. Jiho stood still. He focused on his breathing like he had been trained. Stay calm, stay observant. This was his job, his duty, his choice. Velmore raised 2 hands toward Jiho's head. The alien's fingers were long and cool. They moved closer to Jiho's temples. Ready? Velmore asked. Jiho nodded. The Thessian's fingers touched his skin. For 1 heartbeat, nothing happened. Then Velmore's eyes went wide. The alien's mouth opened. A sound came out that no human throat could make. A scream. A psychic scream that Jiho didn't hear with his ears, but felt in his bones. Every Thessian in the room stumbled. They grabbed their heads. They made sounds of pain and confusion. Velmore fell backward, away from Jiho. The alien crashed to the floor. Blue blood leaked from their nose, their ears, their eyes. The alien's body shook once, twice, then went still. The other Thessians surrounded Velmore immediately, creating a barrier between their fallen leader and all the humans. Jiho stood frozen. He felt fine, normal, confused, but unhurt. What happened? Taeyang shouted. What did we do? One of the Thessians looked up at them. Fear. Jiho saw fear in those large alien eyes. What are you? The Thessian whispered. What are you? The medical bay was chaos. Human doctors shouted orders while Thessian healers worked frantically over Velmore's unconscious body. Jiho sat on an examination table in the corner, answering the same questions for the 4th time. Did you feel anything unusual? The doctor asked. She shined a light in his eyes, checking his pupils. No, Jiho said again. Nothing. It was just a touch. Then Velmore screamed and fell. Any headache? Dizziness? Nausea? No, I feel completely normal. The doctor frowned and made notes on her tablet. She clearly didn't believe him. Something terrible had happened, so someone must be hurt. But Jiho wasn't hurt. He felt fine. Better than fine, actually. He felt calm, while everyone around him panicked. Across the medical bay, Velmore lay on a specialized bed. The Thessian's body was still. Too still. Machines beeped and hummed, monitoring alien vital signs that human doctors barely understood. The other Thessians surrounded their leader, their forearms moving in complex patterns. They touched Velmore's forehead, their fingers glowing with soft blue light. Una stood by the door, talking rapidly into her communicator. I don't care what Earth Command wants. We have an international incident here. The alien ambassador is unconscious and bleeding. No, we don't know why. No, we don't know if they'll survive. Ambassador Taiyang paced back and forth, wringing his hands. His diplomatic smile was gone. He looked old and tired and scared. This is disaster, he muttered. Complete disaster. First contact, and we've somehow injured their leader. Earth will be blamed. We'll be isolated from the galactic community before we even join it. We didn't do anything, Jiho said, but no one was listening. A Thessian healer approached the humans. This one was smaller than Velmore, with darker blue skin. Their movements were jerky, nervous, not the smooth grace Jiho had seen before. I am Kirsha, the alien said. The translator device on their robe crackled with static. I speak for Velmore while they recover, if they recover. What happened? Una demanded. Why did Velmore collapse? Kirsha's large eyes studied Jiho with something that looked like fear. The touching, the mind contact, it was... The alien struggled for words. Wrong, impossible, dangerous. I didn't do anything, Jiho protested. Velmore touched me. I just stood there. Exactly, Kirsha said. You did nothing. You felt nothing. This is the problem. I don't understand. Kirsha made a sound like wind through broken glass. Maybe it was laughter. Maybe it was crying. Neither do we. When Velmore touched your mind, something happened. Something we have never experienced in 47 species. In 300 years of making contact with other sentient beings. Never. What did Velmore experience? Una asked. Kirsha was silent for a long moment. The alien's four arms wrapped around their own body like a self-hug. Before Velmore lost consciousness, they sent one word to all of us, one concept, one feeling. The alien's voice dropped to a whisper. Chaos. Taiyang stepped forward. What does that mean? Chaos? We don't know, Kirsha admitted. Velmore touched your mind for less than 1 second. In that second, our leader experienced something so overwhelming, so violent, so wrong that their consciousness could not handle it. Velmore's mind is damaged, maybe permanently. Jiho felt cold. But I felt nothing. My mind is normal. How could I hurt Velmore without even knowing? This is what terrifies us, Kirsha said. You are unaware. You did not mean harm. You simply are. And what you are caused this. The machines around Velmore suddenly made urgent sounds. The Thessian healers moved faster, their glowing hands pressing against their leader's forehead. For a terrible moment, Jiho thought Velmore might die right there, and it would somehow be his fault. But the beeping steadied. Velmore's breathing continued. The alien remained unconscious but stable. Kirsha relaxed slightly. Velmore lives, but they are trapped in some kind of mental shock. We cannot reach them. Their mind is closed, locked away, hiding from something. Hiding from what? Una asked. Kirsha looked at Jiho. From you, from what they saw inside you. The words hung in the air like poison. Jiho wanted to defend himself, to explain that he was just a normal person. But what could he say? He didn't understand what happened any more than they did. We are leaving, Kirsha announced. Immediately. As soon as Velmore can be safely moved, we will depart from this station and return to our ship. Wait, Taiyang said desperately. We can fix this. We can investigate. Find out what went wrong. Make sure it never happens again. No, Kirsha said firmly. There will be no further contact. The Thessian Collective will discuss this incident. We will decide what it means for humanity. But for now, we must protect ourselves. Protect yourselves from us? Yuna's voice was sharp. We're not the ones who collapsed. Exactly, Kirsha said. You should have collapsed. You should have felt what Velmore felt. The fact that you did not, that you remain unaware of what you carry inside your mind, makes you more dangerous than any weapon we have encountered. Before anyone could respond, Velmore stirred. The Thessian's eyes opened slowly. Those large alien eyes looked around the medical bay with confusion and terror. Velmore saw Jiho and immediately tried to move away, but their body was too weak. Velmore's mouth moved. The words came out broken, barely audible. How do you survive it? How do you live with that? Then Velmore's eyes closed again, and the alien fell back into unconsciousness. Kirsha turned away from the humans. We are leaving. Do not follow us. Do not contact us. We must think. We must understand. We must decide if humanity is ready for the galaxy or if you are something else, something we cannot accommodate. The Thessian healers carefully lifted Velmore. They moved as one unit, perfectly coordinated, carrying their leader toward the docking bay. The other Thessians formed a protective circle around them. They didn't look at the humans. They didn't say goodbye. Within an hour, the Thessian ship undocked from Station Meridian. Jiho watched from the observation window as the beautiful silver vessel pulled away. It didn't move gracefully this time. It moved quickly, urgently, like something running from danger. Yuna stood beside him. Earth Command is demanding answers. They want a full report. They want to know why first contact failed. It didn't fail, Jiho said quietly. It succeeded. We made contact. We learned something. What did we learn? That we're different. That whatever is in my mind, in human minds, is something the Thessians have never encountered before. Something that scares them. Yuna was quiet for a moment. The question is why? What's inside human minds that could terrify a telepathic species? They've touched the minds of 47 different alien races, but they touch one human, and their leader collapses in shock. Jiho pressed his hand against the cold window. The Thessian ship was almost gone now, just a small silver point in the darkness. Velmore asked how we survive it, how we live with that. Whatever they saw inside me, we carry it around every day. We don't even notice it. Maybe that's what scares them most, Yuna said. Not what we have inside us, but the fact that we don't realize we have it. The communicator on the wall crackled to life. Commander Yuna, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command. They're sending a research team. Scientists, psychologists, neurologists. They want to study what happened. They want to understand what makes human consciousness different from alien consciousness. Yuna nodded. Acknowledged. Prepare quarters for the research team. She looked at Jiho. Are you willing to be studied? To let them examine your mind? Try to figure out what Velmore saw? Jiho thought about Velmore's terrified eyes. The blue blood leaking from the alien's face. The psychic scream that every Thessian had felt. Yes, he said, if it helps us understand, if it prevents this from happening again. But deep down, Jiho wondered if understanding would make things better or worse. Whatever was inside human minds had traumatized an alien diplomat from a species that had successfully communicated with 47 other races. What did that say about humanity? And more importantly, what would the galaxy do when they found out? Hana arrived on Station Meridian 3 days after the incident. She was a neuroscientist from Seoul, specializing in consciousness studies. She had been studying how human brains worked for 15 years, but she had never expected to use that knowledge for something like this. Show me everything, she said to Yuna after the briefest of greetings. Medical scans, video recordings, witness statements, everything. They set up a research lab in one of the station's science wings. Hana brought equipment that could measure brain activity in ways Jiho had never seen before. machines that could map neural patterns, devices that could track how thoughts moved through the mind. Jiho sat in a chair surrounded by sensors. Hana watched screens that showed images of his brain lighting up in different colors. Think about something simple, Hana instructed. An apple. Jiho thought about an apple. Red, round, sweet. Now think about something complex. Your childhood. Jiho thought about playing in his grandmother's garden. The smell of flowers, the sound of her voice, the feeling of sun on his skin. Hana made notes, frowning at her screens. Interesting. Very interesting. What? Jiho asked. When you think about the apple, your brain doesn't just activate the visual cortex. It activates memories of eating apples, the word apple in multiple languages, comparisons to other fruits, questions about where apples come from, wonder about why they're red, and about 15 other parallel processes, all at the same time, all in less than a second. Is that unusual? For humans? No, that's completely normal. But for an alien species that thinks in linear, sequential patterns? Hana shook her head. It might be overwhelming. Over the next few days, they tested other humans too. Doyun, a security officer. Sora, a medical officer. Every human showed the same pattern. Multiple thoughts happening simultaneously. Contradictory ideas existing together. Past, present, and future all mixed up in the same moment. Human minds are messy, Hana explained to the team assembled in the conference room. We don't think in straight lines, we think in webs. Every thought connects to dozens of other thoughts. Every memory triggers other memories. We're constantly processing multiple timelines, multiple possibilities, multiple perspectives, and we do it all unconsciously. But that's normal, Taeyang said. Every human does that. Exactly, Hana said. It's so normal that we don't even notice. But imagine you're a telepath who experiences thoughts as clear, organized, sequential information. Then suddenly you touch a human mind and you get hit with all of this chaos at once. Yuna leaned forward. Can we control it? Can we learn to think more simply when around telepathic aliens? I don't think so, Hana said. This isn't conscious thought. This is how human brains are wired. It's fundamental to our consciousness. Before they could discuss further, an urgent message came through from Earth Command. The Thessian Collective had sent a formal communication. It was addressed to all of humanity. Yuna played the message on the main screen. Kirsha appeared, looking tired and disturbed. People of Earth, the Thessian said. We have spent 3 days attempting to understand what happened on Station Meridian. Velmore has recovered enough to communicate with us, though they remain traumatized by the experience. We have consulted with the elder minds of the collective. We have debated and discussed. Now we must share our conclusion with you. The alien paused, their 4 arms moving in an agitated pattern. Human consciousness is fundamentally incompatible with telepathic contact. When Velmore touched the human named Jiho, our diplomat experienced what we can only describe as psychic violence. Not intentional violence, not malicious violence, but violence nonetheless. Jiho felt his stomach sink. Violence. They were calling human thoughts violent. Velmore describes the experience as touching an exploding star, Kirsha continued. A human mind contains multitudes, infinite branches of thought occurring simultaneously, contradictions held together without resolution, past and future and present all existing in the same moment, love and hate, hope and despair, truth and lies, all happening at once, fighting each other, creating a storm of mental chaos that never stops. The screen showed images that the Thessians had created to represent what they experienced. Tangled webs of light, fractured timelines, overlapping realities. It looked like madness. For 300 years, we have touched the minds of 47 species, Kirsha said. Each one thought in their own unique way. But all of them had one thing in common. order, structure, sequential processing. Even species that thought very differently from us still thought in patterns we could understand and accommodate. The alien's large eyes stared out from the screen. Humans do not have order. You have controlled chaos. You have infinite internal debate. Every human mind is a war with itself, and somehow you function this way. Somehow you survive it. Somehow you thrive in it. This makes you unique and dangerous. The message ended with a simple statement that changed everything. The Thessian collective has decided that humanity cannot join the harmony. You are too different, too unpredictable, too chaotic. We are issuing a formal warning to all species in the galactic community. Humans must be approached with extreme caution. Direct telepathic contact must never be attempted. Humanity will be classified as a psychic hazard. The screen went dark. The conference room was silent for a long moment. Then Taeyang spoke, his voice hollow. They're declaring us dangerous. Before we've even joined the galactic community, we're being labeled as a threat. We need to fix this, Doyun said. There has to be a way to make our minds less chaotic. Some kind of training or medication or... No, Hana interrupted. You don't understand. This isn't a bug. This is a feature. Human consciousness evolved this way for a reason. The chaos, the multiple parallel thoughts, the contradictions, this is what makes us adaptable, creative, resilient. This is why humans survived on Earth when so many other species went extinct. But it's also what makes us incompatible with the most powerful civilization in the galaxy, Yuna said grimly. More messages started coming in from Earth. Some governments wanted to apologize. Some wanted to declare war. Some wanted to isolate humanity and avoid contact with aliens altogether. The planet was divided, arguing about what to do next. Jiho sat in his quarters that night, unable to sleep. He kept thinking about Velmore's question. How do you survive it? How do you live with that? He pulled up his messages and found one from his mother. She was worried about him. She had seen the news about first contact going wrong. She wanted to know if he was okay. She also mentioned that his brother's wedding was next month, and his niece had just lost her first tooth, and she was thinking about adopting a dog, but wasn't sure if she was too old for a puppy. Jiho read the message and suddenly understood. His mother's mind was jumping between worry for him, plans for a wedding, joy about his niece, and uncertainty about a dog. 4 different topics, different timelines, different emotions, all in one short message, all existing together without conflict. That was human. That was what Velmore had experienced. Everything at once. The next morning, Jiho requested permission to send a message to the Thessians. Yuna approved it, though she warned him it might not change anything. Jiho recorded his message carefully. Kirsha, this is Jiho. I'm the human who touched Velmore. I want you to know that I understand now. I understand what happened. You're right that human minds are chaotic. We think about everything all at once. We hold contradictions without solving them. We live in past, present, and future simultaneously. He paused, gathering his thoughts. But this isn't violence. This isn't madness. This is how we process a complex universe. We evolved on a planet that was unpredictable and dangerous. We needed to think about multiple possibilities at once just to survive. We needed to hold contradictory information and decide which was most useful in the moment. I know you can't join minds with us, Jiho continued. I know we're too different for the harmony. But we're not dangerous. We're just different. And maybe that difference has value. Maybe the galaxy needs some chaos among all that order. He sent the message, not expecting a response. But 2 days later, one came. It wasn't from Kirsha. It was from Velmore. The Thessian leader appeared on screen, looking weak but recovering. Jiho of Earth, I have heard your message. I have considered your words. You are correct that you are not intentionally violent. But you must understand something. To a telepathic species, your mind feels like standing in a hurricane. We cannot separate the individual thoughts. We experience all of it at once with no filter, no protection, no way to step back. Velmore's expression was difficult to read, but their voice held something like respect. However, I have had time to reflect. In the moment of contact, before the pain overwhelmed me, I glimpsed something remarkable. Your mind was solving dozens of problems simultaneously. Creating art while planning dinner, while remembering childhood, while considering the future. It was beautiful and terrible. The alien leaned closer to the camera. But there is something else you must know. The Thessian Collective is not the only power in the galaxy, and not all powers value peace and harmony. Some might see your chaotic minds as a weapon. Some might see your unpredictability as a threat. Some might decide that a species they cannot read, cannot predict, cannot control should not exist. The message ended with a warning. A fleet is coming. Not from the Thessian Collective, from another power. They have heard about humanity. They have heard that you are unreadable to telepaths, and they have decided to see for themselves what you are. I hope, for both our sakes, that you are ready. The fleet arrived exactly when Velmore said it would. 12 ships, larger than the Thessian vessel, darker. They moved through space with purpose, not grace. They surrounded Station Meridian like predators circling prey. Una called an emergency meeting. Station personnel crowded into the conference room, fear on their faces. They all knew what was coming. First contact had gone wrong once. Now it might go wrong again, but this time with a species that Velmore had warned was not peaceful. They're called the Dominion, Hana said, reading from reports that Earth Command had sent. They control 17 star systems. They're one of the major powers in this region of the galaxy. They're not part of the Thessian Collective, but they respect Thessian territory, mostly. What do they want? Taeyang asked. That's the problem, Una said grimly. We don't know. They haven't communicated. They just arrived and took up position around us. We're trapped. Jiho looked at the display showing the 12 ships. They looked like weapons themselves, all sharp angles and dark metal. No beautiful curves like the Thessian vessel. These ships were built for function, not beauty. We should try to communicate, Taeyang suggested. Send them a greeting. Show them we mean no harm. Already tried, Una said. No response. Hours passed. The Dominion fleet maintained position. They didn't attack. They didn't communicate. They just waited. The silence was worse than threats. Finally, a message came through. The screen showed a being unlike anything Jiho had seen before. They were massive, at least 8 feet tall. Their body was covered in thick, dark scales. They had 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows across their face. Their mouth held multiple rows of sharp teeth. I am War Leader Keth, the being said. Their voice was deep and rough. I speak for the Dominion. We have heard interesting things about your species. Humans. The species that frighten the Thessians. The species with minds that cannot be read. The War Leader's 6 eyes focused on the camera. The Thessians are soft. They seek harmony, unity, peace. The Dominion is not soft. We seek strength, order, control. For 300 years, the Thessians have expanded their collective by touching minds, reading thoughts, absorbing species into their harmony. They have grown powerful through this telepathy. Keth leaned forward. But you are immune. Your minds are chaos. The Thessians cannot read you, cannot predict you, cannot control you. This makes you valuable or dangerous. We have come to determine which. The message ended with a simple instruction. Send one of your people to our flagship. We will test them. We will see if human minds are truly unreadable. If they are, we will decide what to do with your species. You have 2 hours to comply. The screen went dark. That's a threat, Doyen said immediately. "They're threatening us. If we don't send someone, they'll attack." "But if we do send someone, what happens to them?" Sora asked. "The Thessians were peaceful, and their telepath still collapsed in pain. The Dominion doesn't seem peaceful. They might hurt whoever we send." All eyes turned to Jiho. He was the one who had made contact with Velmore. He was the one with experience. "I'll go," Jiho said before anyone could ask. "I've done this before. I know what to expect." "You know what to expect from peaceful Thessians," Yuna corrected. "The Dominion is different. They're testing us. This isn't diplomacy. This is an evaluation. They're deciding if we're a threat or a resource." "Then I need to show them we're neither," Jiho said. "I need to show them we're just people. Different people, but not dangerous." Hana stepped forward. "I should go with you. Someone needs to observe what happens, record data, understand the interaction." Yuna shook her head. "Too risky. We can't lose both of you." "You won't," Hana said firmly. "I'll stay back. Keep distance. But I need to see what happens with my own eyes. I need to understand how human consciousness interacts with different types of telepaths. The Thessians experienced our minds one way. The Dominion might experience them differently." After a long moment, Yuna nodded. "Fine. But you take a security detail. Doyun, prepare a team. Full defensive gear. If anything goes wrong, you extract them immediately." 2 hours later, Jiho and Hana approached the Dominion flagship in a small shuttle. Doyen and 3 other security officers came with them. The Dominion ship was massive up close. Dark metal covered in symbols that might have been writing or warnings. The docking bay opened like a mouth swallowing them. Inside, the ship was dark, cold. Everything was metal and sharp edges. Nothing soft, nothing comfortable. This was a military vessel, built for war. Dominion soldiers met them at the airlock. They were all large, scaled, heavily armed. They didn't speak. They just gestured for the humans to follow. They walked through corridors that echoed with their footsteps. Other Dominion members watched them pass, some with curiosity, some with hostility, none with friendliness. Finally, they reached a large chamber. War leader Keith waited there, along with another being. This one was smaller, thinner, with pale green skin and large black eyes that never blinked. "This is Mind Raider Shara," Keth said, gesturing to the pale being. "Shara is the finest telepath in the Dominion. They have touched the minds of 1,000 beings across 20 species. They have never failed to read a mind. They have never been blocked or confused." Shara studied Jiho with those unblinking eyes. The telepath's voice was soft, almost gentle. "You are the one who broke the Thessian diplomat. You are the chaos mind." "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," Jiho said. "I didn't even know I could." "Intent is irrelevant," Shara said. "Effects are what matter. The question is simple. Can I read your mind? Can I withstand your chaos? If yes, then humans are not special. Just strange. If no, then humans are unreadable, unknown, potentially dangerous." Jiho glanced at Hana. She nodded slightly. They had discussed this. They knew it was coming. "What happens if you can't read my mind?" Jiho asked. War leader Keth's multiple eyes gleamed. "Then the Dominion will decide if unreadable minds are a threat to galactic security. If they are, we will contain the threat, permanently." The words hung in the air. A threat. They were threatening to destroy humanity if they couldn't control them. "And if you can read my mind?" Jiho asked. "Then you are less interesting, but also less dangerous." "We will leave you alone, for now." Jiho took a deep breath. Either way, this was a test humanity couldn't afford to fail. But he didn't know which outcome was safer. Being unreadable might make them a threat. Being readable might make them vulnerable. "I'm ready," Jiho said. Shara approached slowly. The telepath's movements were smooth, calculated. Not like the Thessians' graceful dance. This was more like a predator stalking prey. "I will touch your mind now," Shara said. "I will go deeper than the Thessian did. I will push past the surface chaos and find the truth beneath. Be warned, this may hurt, for both of us." Hana activated her recording devices. Doyen and his team tensed, hands near their weapons. Shara reached out and placed both hands on Jiho's temples. The telepath's black eyes locked onto Jiho's. "Open your mind," Shara whispered. "Do not resist. Let me see." Jiho relaxed. He thought about nothing in particular. He let his mind wander naturally. Thoughts of home, thoughts of space, thoughts of aliens, thoughts of what might happen next. Memories, plans, worries, dreams, all of it existing together like it always did. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Shara's eyes went wide. The telepath's mouth opened in shock. But unlike Velmore, Shara didn't scream, didn't fall. The telepath stood firm, pushing deeper into Jiho's mind. "Incredible," Shara whispered. "It's like standing in a storm. No, it's like being inside a star where 1,000 fusion reactions happen simultaneously. How do you think this way? How do you function?" Jiho didn't answer. He just let Shara explore. The telepath's body began to shake. Sweat formed on their pale green skin. "I see your past, but also your possible futures, dozens of them, hundreds, all existing in your mind at once. I see your memories. But they're not filed away. They're active, living, constantly being rewritten and reinterpreted. I see your thoughts, but they contradict each other. You believe something and doubt it at the same time. You plan for the future while questioning the present while remembering the past. All at once. Always." Shara's voice grew strained. "I've read alien minds, insect minds, machine minds, minds so different from mine I had to spend years learning to interpret them. But your mind, human mind, it's not just different, it's impossible. You shouldn't be able to function this way. The contradictions should tear you apart. The chaos should overwhelm you. But somehow you navigate it. Somehow you make decisions. Somehow you create meaning from the storm." The telepath pulled away suddenly, breathing hard. Shara stumbled backward. War Leader Keth caught the telepath before they fell. "Did you read them?" Keth demanded. "Did you see into the human mind?" Shara nodded weakly. "Yes, I read them. I saw everything. But understanding what I saw?" The telepath laughed, a bitter sound. "I saw everything and understood nothing. Human minds are readable but incomprehensible. I can access their thoughts, but I cannot predict their actions. They might do anything. They might do nothing. Their own minds don't know what they'll do until they do it." War Leader Keth released Shara and turned to face Jiho. The War Leader's 6 eyes studied him with new intensity. "So, humans are not unreadable. But you are unpredictable, even to yourselves. This is almost worse. We cannot anticipate you. We cannot plan around you. We cannot control you." "Is that a problem?" Jiho asked quietly. Keth was silent for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, the War Leader laughed. It was a harsh, barking sound, but it was laughter. "For the Thessians, yes, they need to predict, to harmonize, to absorb. But for the Dominion, no. We respect strength. And the ability to be unpredictable, to adapt, to contain chaos and still function, that is a form of strength." The War Leader gestured to the exit. "Go. Return to your station. Tell your people this. The Dominion will not attack humanity. But neither will we welcome you. You are too chaotic for the Thessians and too unpredictable for us. You will stand alone in the galaxy, but you will stand. For now." As Jiho and the others returned to their shuttle, Hana whispered, "That could have gone worse." "It could have gone better too," Jiho replied. They had survived the test, but they had also learned a hard truth. Humanity was alone, different. unable to join the great telepathic civilizations because their minds were too chaotic, unable to be controlled because they were too unpredictable. The question was, what would humanity do with that isolation? 3 weeks after the Dominion fleet left, a single small ship arrived at Station Meridian. It was Thessian, but it didn't come with an official delegation. It came quietly, almost secretly. The pilot requested permission to dock and asked to speak with Jiho personally. Yuna was suspicious. Could be a trap. The Thessians warned us about other powers seeing us as a threat. Maybe they changed their mind. Maybe they decided we're too dangerous after all. Or maybe, Jiho said, they want to talk, really talk. Not as diplomats making official statements, but as beings trying to understand each other. He was right. The visitor was Velmore. The Thessian diplomat looked different than before. Older somehow. More tired. They moved carefully, as if still recovering from injury. They met in a private conference room. Just Jiho, Velmore, and Hana as an observer. Security watched from outside, but they kept their distance. Velmore had requested privacy, and Yuna had agreed. Carefully. "Thank you for seeing me," Velmore said. Their voice was quieter than Jiho remembered, less confident. "I know our last meeting was difficult. For both of us." "How are you?" Jiho asked. "Are you recovered?" "Physically." "Yes," Velmore said. "Mentally?" The alien made a gesture with their 4 arms that might have been a shrug. "I am changed. Touching your mind changed me. I see the universe differently now. Not better or worse. Just different." Velmore sat down slowly. Human chairs were not designed for Thessian bodies, but the alien managed. "I have been thinking about what happened, about what I experienced in your mind. I came here to apologize." Jiho blinked in surprise. "Apologize? For what?" "For judging you too quickly, for calling your minds violent, chaotic, dangerous. These words were fear speaking, not understanding." Velmore's large eyes met Jiho's. "I have spent these weeks trying to explain to my people what I felt when I touched you. It is difficult. We have no words for it in our language." "Shara from the Dominion said something similar," Hana said. "They said human minds are comprehensible, but incomprehensible. They could see our thoughts but not understand them." "Yes," Velmore agreed. "This is accurate. I saw everything in Jiho's mind, every thought, every memory, every possibility. But I could not make sense of it because I was looking for patterns that do not exist in human consciousness. I was expecting order, structure, linear progression. Instead, I found something else." "Chaos," Jiho said. "No," Velmore said firmly. "Not chaos. That is the wrong word. What you have is not chaos. It is complexity, multi-dimensional thinking. You process reality in ways we cannot. You hold contradictions. You consider multiple timelines simultaneously. You question everything, even your own thoughts, and somehow, from this storm of possibility, you extract meaning and make decisions." The alien leaned forward. "The Thessians achieve harmony by thinking together. We merge minds. We become one. This gives us peace, unity, but it also limits us. We cannot think thoughts that the collective rejects. We cannot imagine possibilities that the harmony finds disruptive. We are peaceful, but we are also stagnant." Velmore's voice grew softer. "I have been questioning things since I touched your mind. Questioning our way, our collective, our harmony. These are not thoughts that Thessians usually have. My people are concerned about me. They say I am becoming unstable, but I think I am becoming more like you, more willing to hold contradictions, more willing to question." "Is that good?" Jiho asked carefully. "I do not know," Velmore admitted. "But it is real. It is growth. And growth is something the Thessian collective has not experienced in a very long time." Hana made notes on her tablet. So human consciousness affected you, changed you, not through violence, but through exposure to a different way of thinking. Exactly, Velmore said. This is why I came. I need to ask you something. A favor. One that my people would not approve of, but one that I believe is important. What kind of favor? Jiho asked. Velmore took a deep breath. I want to touch your mind again. But this time, I want to be prepared. I want to understand it instead of being overwhelmed by it. I want to learn how you think, how you survive your own complexity, how you find meaning in chaos. That's dangerous, Hana said immediately. Last time you almost died. Last time I was unprepared, Velmore countered. This time I know what to expect. I have spent weeks training myself, teaching myself to perceive thoughts differently. It may not work. I may fail again, but I must try. Jiho looked at Hana. She looked back at him. They were both thinking the same thing. This could be a breakthrough, or it could be another disaster. But it was also an opportunity, a chance to bridge the gap between human and alien consciousness, a chance to show that understanding was possible. I'll do it, Jiho said. But we do it carefully, with medical teams standing by, and you stop the moment it becomes too much. Deal? Velmore's expression was difficult to read, but their voice held gratitude. Deal. They prepared carefully this time. Medical equipment monitored both Jiho and Velmore. Hana had her recording devices ready. Yuna watched from behind protective glass, her hand on the emergency stop button that would flood the room with sedatives if needed. Are you ready? Jiho asked. No, Velmore said honestly. But I am willing. They sat facing each other. Velmore raised two hands toward Jiho's temples. The alien's fingers trembled slightly. This time, I will not try to understand everything at once. I will focus on one thing, one moment, one thought. I will let the chaos flow around me instead of trying to control it. What thought do you want to focus on? Jiho asked. Velmore considered. Think about why you agreed to do this, why you are willing to help me understand you even after what happened before. Jiho nodded. He thought about the question. Why was he doing this? Multiple answers came to mind simultaneously. Because it was his job, because he was curious, because he wanted to help, because he hoped for peace, because he feared isolation, because he believed understanding was possible, because he didn't want humanity to be alone in the universe. All of these reasons existed together, equally true, equally valid. Velmore's fingers touched his temples. The alien's eyes closed. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Velmore's body tensed. The alien's breathing became rapid. But this time, Velmore didn't pull away, didn't scream, just held on, experiencing whatever they were experiencing. I see it, Velmore whispered. All your reasons, all at once. They contradict each other. You are afraid and hopeful, cautious and curious, doing your duty and following your heart. These should cancel each other out, but they don't. They coexist. They inform each other. They make you more than any single motivation would. The alien's voice grew stronger. I see now. This is how you survive complexity. You don't resolve contradictions. You hold them. You let them exist together. You make decisions not by choosing one truth over another, but by weighing all truths simultaneously and choosing a path that honors as many as possible. Velmore opened their eyes. Tears ran down their face. Not blood this time, just tears. It's beautiful, painful and confusing and overwhelming, but beautiful. The alien pulled away gently, sat back, breathed deeply. I understand now why the Dominion found you unpredictable. You don't decide what to do by following a single logical path. You consider everything, every possibility, every perspective, then you choose. And your choice might surprise even yourself. Is that bad? Jiho asked. No, Velmore said. It's human, and human is not bad, just different. Over the next few days, Velmore met with other humans, talked with them, learned about human culture, human history, human art. The Thessian was fascinated by human music, which could be happy and sad at the same time, by human poetry, which said one thing and meant another, by human philosophy, which asked questions without expecting single answers. Your whole civilization is built on complexity, Velmore observed. Your art, your science, your politics, everything reflects the way your minds work, multiple perspectives, competing ideas, constant debate and discussion. It can be exhausting, Jiho admitted. Sometimes I wish I could just know the answer. Have one clear thought without a dozen others contradicting it. But if you did, Velmore said, you would not be human. You would be something else, something simpler, but also something less. On the day Velmore prepared to leave, the Thessian diplomat made an announcement that surprised everyone. It was broadcast to both Station Meridian and the Thessian Collective. I have completed my investigation of humanity, Velmore said formally. My initial assessment was wrong. Humans are not dangerous. They are not violent. They are not a psychic hazard. They are simply different, profoundly different. Their minds work in ways we do not understand and cannot replicate. But this difference does not make them a threat. It makes them valuable. The alien paused. The Thessian Collective has achieved great things through harmony, through unity of thought. But we have also stagnated. We have not grown or changed in centuries. Perhaps we need what humans have. Not to become like them, but to learn from them. To remember that there are other ways to think, other ways to exist, other ways to find truth. Velmore looked directly at the camera. I propose that humanity be granted protected status, not membership in the collective. We now understand that would be impossible and undesirable. But protection, recognition, the right to exist as they are, different but equal, separate but respected. The broadcast ended. Jiho didn't know what would happen next, whether the Thessian Collective would accept Velmore's proposal, whether humanity would find a place in the galactic community or remain isolated. But he knew something had changed. Una stood beside him at the observation window, watching Velmore's ship prepare to depart. Do you think they'll accept it? The proposal? I don't know, Jiho said. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe something in between. Una smiled slightly. A very human answer. Multiple possibilities existing at once. It's the only honest answer I have. They watched the ship leave. It moved with the same grace as before, but somehow it looked different now. Not alien, just different. And different was okay. Hana joined them at the window. I've been analyzing all the data, the interactions, the brain scans, the testimonies. I think I understand what makes human consciousness unique. What? Jiho asked. We never stop questioning, Hana said. Other species find answers and accept them. They achieve certainty and remain certain. But humans? We find answers and immediately question them. We achieve certainty and immediately doubt it. We are never finished thinking, never done questioning, never completely sure. And this makes us uncomfortable. But it also makes us adaptable, creative, capable of change. So our weakness is our strength, Una said. No, Hana corrected. Our humanity is our humanity. Weakness and strength are judgments, comparisons. What we are is simply what we are. Beings who contain multitudes, minds that hold contradictions, people who think everything at once and somehow still function. Jiho thought about this, about all the other thoughts that came with it, about fear and hope, about isolation and connection, about being alone and being unique. All of it true, All of it real. All of it happening simultaneously in his mind. I can live with that, he said finally. And in his mind, a dozen other thoughts agreed and disagreed at the same time. That was okay too. That was human.